Assalamu alaikum class. Now in the previous lecture we studied about the newborn baby, how we can measure the weight of the baby, the height of the baby and the head circumference of the baby. And also I discussed about some common disorders which can be screened and which can be prevented. And we also discussed about the at-risk infants. Now, in the previous lecture, I also gave a brief introduction about the low birth weight babies, and in this lecture, we are going to do a detailed discussion regarding the low birth weight babies. The birth weight of a baby is the single most important indicator which tells us about its chances of survival, its healthy growth and development. And birth weight is defined as the birth weight of less than 2.5 kg, and any birth weight which is less than 2.5 kg is considered as low birth weight, or it can be up to and including 2499 grams. Now the measurement should be taken preferably within the first hour of delivery, before any significant postnatal weight loss has occurred. Now, apart from the birth weight, babies can also be classified into three groups according to their gestational age. That is preterm, term, and they are classified as post-term. Now, preterm babies are those babies, as I told you in the previous lecture as well, uh, that those born before the end of 37 weeks of gestation, that is less than 259 days. And the at term babies are those babies who are born from 37 completed weeks of gestation to less than 42 completed weeks. That is 259 days to 293 days of gestation. Now, the post-term babies are those babies which are born at 42 completed weeks or anytime after that. That is from 294 days or above that of gestation. Now, low birth in infant is any infant with a birth weight of less than 2.5 kg, regardless of its gestational age. Now, it includes two types of infants. Number one are the preterm babies, and number two are the small for date babies. Now, the preterm is defined as a baby who is born alive before the 37 weeks of gestation are completed, and they are further subdivided into three subcategories based on their gestational age. Number one is the extremely preterm, that is less than 28 weeks. Next is your very preterm, that is between 28 to less than 32 weeks of gestation. And the third category is moderate to late preterm, that is between 32 to 37 weeks of gestation. Now, these babies are usually born too early, and but their intrauterine growth is normal. As I told you in the previous slide, that preterm babies are born too early. Their intrauterine growth is normal. It is that their weight, their height, their development is within the normal limits according to the duration of gestation. Now, preterm births, it's a syndrome which has two subtypes. Number one is the spontaneous preterm birth. In spontaneous preterm birth, there is early rupture of membranes and there is spontaneous onset of labor. And the other subtype is the provider initiated preterm birth, which is the induction of labor or elective section before the 37 completed weeks of gestation for any maternal or fetal indication, which can be urgent or it can be due to any other non-medical reasons. Now, these are the two basic types of preterm births. Now, in spontaneous preterm births, there are certain risk factors which can lead to these types of birth. Number one is the age at the time of pregnancy, especially the adolescent pregnancies or advanced maternal age. Next important risk factor is the nutritional status of the female. As you know, we are a poor country, especially in the poor class, the females are undernourished and there can be micronutrient deficiencies. So these, or even in obesity as well. So these conditions can lead to spontaneous preterm births. Another important risk factor is the spacing between the pregnancies and multiple pregnancies. Now, usually there is a shorter interpregnancy interval which can lead to spontaneous preterm birth as well. Now, in certain conditions like diabetes, hypertension, anemia, or any thyroid disease in mothers. Now, these chronic conditions, when not properly treated in the mothers, and when these females they get pregnant, usually there are chances of spontaneous preterm births. Now, next important is the risk factor is the lifestyle of the mother. Now, usually in our society, especially in the higher upper class, there is smoking or excessive alcohol consumption or even recreational abuse of drugs as well. So this type of lifestyle when led can lead to spontaneous preterm births in the mothers. And in lower class, as you can see, that the females are usually working with men and there is excessive physical activity going on. So this sort of excessive physical activity during pregnancy can also lead to spontaneous preterm births. Now, another condition or the risk factor of having spontaneous preterm births is the psychological state of the mother. Now, usually, sometimes the females they are suffering from depression or any sort of violence against the women. Now, these can also lead to spontaneous preterm births. Now, there can be sometimes family history of giving preterm births to the babies because of cervical incompetence as well. So these are the different risk factors which can lead to spontaneous preterm births in the females. Next subtype I told you is the provider initiated preterm birth. It can be medically induced or it can be through a section elective section birth before the 37 completed weeks of gestation for any condition in the mother or any fetal indication which can be because of some emergency or any other non-medical reason. Now, the low birth weight babies, they include two types of infants. Number one are the preterm babies, which we have discussed previously, and the next type is the small for date babies. Now, small for date babies, they are usually born preterm or term, and they weigh less than 10th percentile for their gestational age. Now, these babies are born because of the result of intrauterine growth retardation. The intrauterine growth retardation is associated with many factors which are related to the mother, the placenta, or the fetus. Now, coming to the maternal factors, the important factors are the nutritional status of the mother, like malnutrition, or the short-statured mothers, or who do heavy physical work during pregnancies, like as you know it's our agricultural country and the females also work with women in the field. So during pregnancy even they are doing heavy physical work, or some mothers which are severely anemic, or they are suffering from certain diseases like hypertension, any sort of toxemia or malaria, or some mothers who smoke, or especially those who belong to the lower social economic class and have high parity and have very close birth spacing. So these are the important factors which cause intrauterine growth retardation in mothers. There can be certain placental causes like placental insufficiency. Placental insufficiency can occur in those mothers who are suffering from anemia or diabetes mellitus or hypertension or any cardiovascular disorder, or if the mother is a smoker. So all these conditions can lead to placental insufficiency, and the babies born to such mothers can be low birth weight babies, and they can be small for dates. And the fetal causes are any sort of fetal abnormality or any sort of intrauterine infection that the mother is suffering from, or any chromosomal abnormality and multiple gestation. Now, all these conditions can lead to low birth weight babies, which are usually small for dates. Now, in your exam, sometimes you are given a calculation to calculate the percentage of low birth weight babies. Now, in this slide, you can see the formula. The numerator is the live born babies who have a birth weight less than 2.5 kg, and they are divided by the total number of live births that occur during that specific time period, and the multiplier here is 100. So with the help of this formula, you can calculate the percentage of low birth weight babies. Now, as we discussed in previously, that there are certain risk factors which are the major causes of low birth weight babies. Now, the most important one, as I told you before, is the maternal malnutrition. The other one is the physical heavy workload which the pregnant female has to do during the gestational period. And then the females are also suffering from certain diseases like hypertension and diabetes, or any other infection like urinary tract infection, or they can be suffering from malaria or cytomegalovirus. So these are the diseases or the infections which act as a risk factor in the development of low birth weight babies in those pregnant females, and especially when there is less spacing of pregnancies and there are frequent pregnancies in the females. Now, for intervention, we have to reduce these risk factors, and for that we have to improve the nutritional status of the pregnant female, like giving supplementary foods during their antenatal visits, or by distribution of iron and folic acid, which should be free of cost to the pregnant females, and by giving them fortified and enriched food so their nutritional status can be met, and the chances of delivering low birth weight babies are less. Now, second intervention which can help is the controlling the infection in the pregnant females. As I told you before, some females, they usually suffer from UTIs, or they can be suffering from malaria or any syphilitic infection, or due to toxoplasmosis or rubella infection. So these infections should be controlled so that the chances of low birth weight babies in these females are less. So to prevent all these risk factors, antenatal visits are very important so that you can detect any sort of risk factor, and if there is a medical disorder, that medical disorder should be corrected and proper treatment should be given to the female, so that chances of her giving birth to low birth weight baby is less. Now coming to the indirect interventions. Now the indirect and interventions, if done properly, they have a more effective and long-lasting effect only if they are done properly. Now in these sort of interventions, the health and nutrition of the young females or the young girls is the most important thing. Now, if adolescent girl is properly nourished, she can give birth to healthy babies in future. And there should be the proper family planning methods should be adopted in that society, and there should be proper planned pregnancies, and there should be proper spacing among those pregnancies, so that the mother does not suffer from any sort of malnutrition. Now, other indirect intervention is that you can improve the sanitation of a country, and you improve the socioeconomic and the environmental conditions, and the healthcare services and the social services, especially in the underserved and the underdeveloped areas, should also be improved. So all these interventions can help in the prevention and lowering the low birth weight babies in a society, and with that we can lower the perinatal and the infant mortality rate as well.